Oh, we're live.
Okay, right. Welcome to our first podcast, and this is the re-education show where we're going to teach you about stuff that you're not taught in school. So right now we are going to teach you about concrete and its many uses. Okay, so our first point is reinforced concrete is the only building material that's highly resistant to both water and fire. So that makes it an excellent building material. It's very versatile and it can withstand the environment. So do you have any thoughts of your own?
Well, I just find it really interesting. Well, is that not should that be obvious to the general public? Like, if concrete was not resistant to fire or water, we'd be in a huge mess where our motorways and our streets can't handle a bit of water. A country like Scotland, that would be preposterous.
And also, I think this is worth noting. Concrete is also the use of membranes and special concrete mixes make it virtually waterproof, making concrete the ideal building material for underground structures like lower levels, basements, and parking structures. Let's go on to our next point.
Yeah, absolutely. Concrete is the best material for road construction. I'm sure that many of you might have known that, right? Did you know that almost 30% of interstate highways in the United States are built using only concrete? That's because even though the initial cost to build may be slightly higher than asphalt, concrete roads last for far longer and require less maintenance, making it the most cost-effective and environmentally friendly choice in the long run. If we were to use an alternative substance such as steel, that'd be very costly and it would not hold the test of time, and wood would just rot and suffer all sorts of major issues. We'd like to move on to the next point, or if you want to say.
I guess worth noting that its use for roads is very sound because you look at the alternative. You have gravel, you have brick, and you just have off-road. Neither of which can stand the test of time, and the brick roads are just much more difficult to implement and lay down, and they don't last as long.
Never mind that certain cars, such as certain vehicles, can't handle roads such as off-road scenarios or even gravel, where gravel may even find its way into your engine and just totally destroy your car, making concrete the most effective material for our roads. I'd like to move on to how the first concrete highway was built in 1909 on Woodward Avenue in 6 and 7 Mile Roads in Greenfield Township, which is now part of the Northwest Detroit. The mile-long road cost
Hold on, I'm just got to say hi to our viewers. Hello, Epic Minecraft Vidalios and Lord Epsilon. Welcome to the stream.
How you guys doing? So, what's on? As I was saying, this road is very expensive back in 1909, but we've made huge advancements to bring the costs right down whilst keeping the durability up. What else have we got to point out? Up until that point, non-dirt roads had been built using bricks and cobblestones or a mix of tar and stones called macadam, which all made for a bumpy and overall just not very enjoyable ride.
There's another thing people don't really think about, the smoothness of concrete when you're going along, no bumps or anything anymore, which provides a much more comforting driving experience than traditional brick roads, for example.
Not only that, this brings us to the higher durability of the tyres and things that our cars can now enjoy.
Tony Hillis, we did mention aggregate previously, so don't get bold in the chat.
Thank you.
Also welcome to the stream.
Would you like to take us on to our fourth point?
Okay, concrete was actually first used as a building material in ancient Rome, and so they used a mix of lime water and volcanic ash from Mount Vesuvius called Pozzolana. Okay.
Excuse me, we're doing a concrete podcast.
Alright, how's it going?
We're in the middle of a podcast about concrete.
Well, I need to go out and get some dead animals.
We've got dead animals.
Yes,
Is that why it stinks of fish in here?
yes. We've got a dead hamster.
Alright,
So, either you do it or I do it.
as long as we can continue our podcast, it's all good.
Nah, I just move over a bit.
Right.
Let's squeeze in. There might be some kind of worms and all sorts that make us climb it, but you never know.
So we could wait for this dead hamster to become fossilised and make it part of a future concrete
Would you
road.
like a piece of bacon?
Piece of hamster, please.
Piece of hamster, cool. Bacon's free, by the way. With sardine.
Oh, that's pretty decent.
Nah, it's good.
Right, so Ivan, would you like to move on to our next point?
Yeah, okay. There you go.
I thought you were.
I've done that.
Oh, you like done this one? Oh, that's lovely.
Give it a kiss, like.
Right, right, so the British Army used concrete to detect enemy aircraft. Before the development of radar in World War II, the British erected parabolic acoustic mirrors, commonly called listening ears, to detect incoming aircraft. A network of these enormous concrete sound reflectors was constructed along England's coast during the early days of World War II and can still be seen today. I find this very interesting as concrete was used to save lives long before radars were used, such as wars, and even today it's still used for roads for ambulances and such. What are your thoughts on this, Ivan?
Oh yeah, it must have saved many lives then. If they could
What are you trying
detect
to
it.
teach?
We're teaching about concrete.
The importance of it, and well, thing is, right, there's a lot of misconceptions spread around the world about concrete, so we're informing the world via a live stream of the importance of it.
What a life hamster. How do you hamster?
A few answer.
You know, be a live stream over that, saying that look, it's deep, didn't it? Look, it's come up, look. You knew it was going to die because it just went. That was it.
That could be next week's show.
That's what it's like, actually.
Or you could show it to the stream if you want.
I'm not going to take it.
I don't really want to hold the thing. It's neat.
I know.
Is it live?
How did
It's on.
I get it some kind of send off or
You
what?
should put in a roll.
Oh, there you go. Turtle?
No, I mean like a roll button, that.
No, get one.
Right.
There you go, get a roll.
What was it?
You go get a roll.
No, put in that roll.
You know, Tommy Johnson.
Right, Ivan, we'd like to move on to our sixth point.
Aye. So it's a common misconception about the difference between concrete and cement. But concrete is in fact a mixture of 60 to 65% aggregates like sand, gravel and crushed stone, 15 to 20% water and only 10 to 15% cement. When mixed, the cement and water harden, binding the aggregates into a solid mass we call concrete. So there's no such thing as a cement sidewalk, which further proves concrete's superiority over its inferior counterpart, cement.
So, I find this quite interesting as, well, it's just appalling that our education is teaching useless subjects such as algebra, drama, cookery, history, biology, but they're failing to teach our young students the difference between cement and concrete. It's absolutely preposterous behaviour. Like, it's such a vital part of everyday life, and some people still get them mixed up. It's absolutely horrible. What are your thoughts on this, Ivan?
What's
No,
the
yeah.
with concrete? Because see, every time I walk over a bottle, I go right through it.
Should they not be teaching you how to
Those might be
balance a
cement
checkbook?
rules.
Pay a bill?
Well, this is a concrete live stream.
Yeah, so what is it with
It's
concrete?
about your sucky education system, from what I could tell.
Because that was part of our point on concrete.
Yeah, so concrete.
Now, if you
That's
excuse
good
me,
shite, man.
you are interrupting our education live stream
Hello?
Yeah.
about
We're leaving. We're going to go eat dinner.
what, that hamster?
No.
So I do cancer.
No. Go.
Thanks for ruining our stream, Mom.
You're welcome, darling. Anytime.
Right, now that those gets are away, what were your thoughts on...
Okay, shout out to Craig Jeans by the way, I know you're watching. There we go.
Good man.
I just shouted at Craig Jeans.
Right, so would you like to move on to the seventh point, Ivy?
Concrete is in fact a popular material for high-end countertops, sinks, fireplaces and floors, which goes to show that concrete is everywhere. It's out on the street, it's on the sidewalk, it's even in your house, which is something not a lot of people know.
Yeah, I find, imagine we use cement for these things such as kitchen countertops and sinks. It just would not work. Which makes it further horrible that people would assume that cement and concrete were the same thing when they're vastly different. It's just, and despite knowing that we use them for high-end countertops, sinks, fireplaces, and even floors, shows that they will hold the test of time and will just last for a very long time. Whilst something like wood or maybe even steel would corrode and just not hold up in the same way that concrete would. Furthermore, reinforced concrete is the only building material used for underwater structures.
True.
Because cement is an aggregate, it's possible to develop different mixes for specific uses. Prepared by grinding pozzolanic clinker with Portland cement. It's ideally suited for the construction of underwater structures like dams, piers, tunnels, sewer works. Not only is it special concrete versatile, it's highly water resistant and outperforms steel and wood for underwater construction. Because as we've previously mentioned, steel will corrode and wood will inevitably rot and decay and causes huge issues in our underwater structures.
Yeah, it's vastly important to the sustainability of our society. So, yeah. If any of you have any questions about concrete or anything else the school hasn't taught you about, please feel free to leave it in the chat and we will try and get to it.
Yep.
One thing not a lot of people know about, one thing that makes concrete so good is it has an incredibly high compressive strength, okay? So, it's measured in pounds per square inch, PSI, okay? And compressive strength refers to the amount of force needed to actually break a material. The typical compressive strength for concrete range from 3,000 to 7,000 PSI, but strength of up to 20,000 PSI have actually been recorded, so it's fascinating really how much strength it can support, which is why it's used as foundations for many buildings as well.
Yeah, I think this is absolutely true. If we were using any other material, it just would not hold up in the same way. Thank you for that insightful thought, Ivan. But I would like to bring us on to how you guys might not believe this, right? But did you know that the world's largest concrete structures in China? Yeah, that's right. At 185 meters high and 2,309 meters long, the Three Gorges Dam in China's Yangtze River is the world's largest concrete structure built between 1994 and 2006. The dam's hydroelectric station can generate an incredible 22,500 milliwatts of power. Its reservoir holds as much water as Lake Superior and displaces around 1.3 million people. This just goes to show.
Walter.
What about?
Walter.
Alright, yeah. Anyway, this shows that it's crazy, right? If we were to use any other substance, our dams would just fall apart and just overall just not last as long. And for about 2,309 meters, think how crazy that is. That's like, well, very long. It's probably as long as Scotland. In China alone, for one concrete structure. And it will last pretty much forever, right? It will last way longer than we will. But a wooden dam we can expect to fall apart in months. Do you have any points you'd like to add to this, Ivan?
Well, seeing as we talked about the durability of concrete quite a lot, I would like to note that the World Trade Center before 2001 was made of steel beams and concrete. But as we've already discussed, concrete can withstand amazing compressive pressures. So surely it should be able to withstand a plane, which brings us on to some sort of conspiracy that either the Twin Towers weren't actually made of concrete or it was blown up by George Bush, okay? And frankly, I'm appalled because it's completely obvious if it was made of concrete, it wouldn't have collapsed. The plane would have just exploded and that would have been that, and the debris would have collected below. But it's obviously the Twin Towers weren't actually made of concrete because it would be able to withstand the pressure.
It's like if they just used concrete for building the Twin Towers, hundreds of people would not have died on that day. And of course, if it was George Bush, then you know, that's an insult to concrete
Well,
and its durability.
These are American engineers we're talking about, so you can't expect too much of them.
Yeah, true. Laziness is in their blood, fat bastards. So,
Okay, Americans, any Americans watching, go eat at McDonald's, fatty.
well said. Amen to that.
Okay, now let's move on to cement.
Cement facts.
Hmm.
Cement is such an inferior product. Really grinds my gears.
That's not facts.
Fuck off. Wait a minute. Cement and concrete at the same time.
Concrete has cement in it. All cement is in concrete, but not.
Oh, kind of like how all terrorists are Muslims, but not all Muslims are terrorists. I get you. Right, we're struggling to find any good cement facts. So, I want to list some topics in the chat and we'll...
Yeah, list some topics and we'll discuss that as well. 60 minutes, that's quite good for talking about concrete.
I already did 10 minutes before this. Epic Minecraft videos suggest you talk about sex. What are your stances on the sexual matters? I hope it doesn't involve concrete.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, do you like boys, girls, animals? You know, it's a free live stream. You can say whatever you want.
It's a free country.
Yep.
Tony shat himself once and got a nosebleed. That's actually quite serious. I really hope he seeks professional medical help, and he has my condolences.
Yeah, but I have to say that if he cannot hold his shit, there's a good chance that he's got a bowel problem and should have it checked out
Tony
by
died.
a GP.
But he's in this chat.
Oh, that's Tony's dad, you silly. I'm very sorry, Tony's dad.
Tony,
Should have
I
got him
shat in the
checked.
toilet and got a nosebleed. Isn't concrete significantly more expensive than other substances? So what's your kind of argument to that? What do you think is going to cost more, steel beams or concrete? Exactly.
Not only that, what's going to cost more to replace? Or what are we going to have to replace more often? Steel. Therefore, it means that you can go for the short term investment.
One negative to concrete is that due to heating and cooling from our climate, that's how potholes are formed on the road, because it actually affects the integral structure that's holding the concrete together, and that's how it can cause damage to your cars and that. So that's one of the negatives about it, although there aren't many.
I would have to say that like, if we were to build out of steel, if it costs less, or any material that costs less, we would be found spending money on a short-term investment, but it's not going to last long and it's going to cause us more issues in the long run. Which is why our fantastic governments have invested in the concrete industry to ensure that the roads are safe for everybody. So what else to say to that? Do you guys have any other questions about concrete or other subjects?
Something you've not been taught about in school. That's what this podcast is for. It's for educating the masses on things that the education system is not sufficiently doing well enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of our education system, you know what they don't tell us about? Socialism. I remember I had an experience in first year. We were in social subjects, and our teacher said, in communism, everybody gets paid the same. You couldn't be more wrong. In socialism, just to clarify, communism and socialism are the exact same thing, okay? Well, not the exact same, but Karl Marx wrote about it as if the changes were as if the terms were interchangeable, okay? So basically, in socialism, a janitor would in fact be paid less than a doctor. Yeah. Oh no, gee, I can enter the chat.
No, it didn't. Oh, that's right, yeah. Oh, thank you, Jay, for joining the chat. So, what was that you were saying about socialism then?
A doctor would be, in fact, paid more than a janitor in socialism because a doctor contributes more to society. Fun fact: did you know Cuba has a higher doctors per capita than America right now? And also, while we're on the topic of socialism, Venezuela. There's been a lot of things in the media about Venezuela, okay? But, and there's been a lot of lies in the Western media saying that Venezuela is refusing humanitarian aid. But it's frankly not true because, why would you accept humanitarian aid from a country that's trying to overthrow your government? And two, the US actually refused Venezuelan aid in a hurricane. So, there you go.
I would like to chime in with a point of, in a socialist scenario, everyone will at least have the basics to live, like a house and food. Whereas,
Facts don't care about your feelings.
thank you, Tony, for that glorious input. But we'd have to say that in a capitalist manner, we've got homeless people all over the world, and that's just not acceptable. Epic Minecraft Videos says, Justin, when did you last bust a nut? I would have to say around 2 to 3 years ago. What about you?
Not paid the same, but people with larger incomes are taxed more. Well, they're obviously not taxed enough because Bill Gates is still infinitely richer than the poorest people. Did you know that 8 people own half of the world's wealth? There's no logic in that.
Pants.
That's
Blank,
disgusting.
blank.
It's absolutely disgusting.
It's absolutely disgusting behaviour, and I'm shocked to be in a capitalist world like this. You guys have any other questions? That's of course not mentioned in.
We've got 6 viewers.
Let's go. 6.
It's a lot.
Dang! If you're a viewer, raise your hand. Me.
I'm a viewer.
Well, we see. We can't attack all YCL members because he's my co-host.
I saw
It'd be a
all
shit show without him.
I saw all YCL members. Right, Tony. The YCL is stronger than you. We are a powerful organisation and we will not hesitate.
Fight back. Next question.
Ivan, if you become you just still maintain. I like to think there's obviously, you never know these things, Lord Epsilon, but I'm pretty sure I would still maintain my political beliefs, and I'm pretty sure I would use my newfound will to support my political beliefs. Key topic of knife crime is a serious topic, especially in our area. Well, knife crime is a good thing. Okay, I know that's going to sound controversial, but it is actually something that's worth talking about. For example, a natural selection, right? If you're retarded enough to get stabbed by a knife to die from that, yours shouldn't be able to pass on your genes. So it's just evolution, and we should be able to do it.
No, listen, I would support the argument that knife crimes and all sorts of death crimes like this, shootings, like school shootings especially, are actually beneficial to the planet because we've already got an overcrowding problem. We've just got too many people and not enough houses and not enough money to sustain this population. So when we're killing off some one by one, even the government conspiracy of cancer is absolutely necessary to make sure that our world does not fill up with too many people. So if we just, pick them off one by one, we'll be able to sustain ourselves as a country, as a planet, because we'll have fewer people. Whilst if we're keeping them all alive, we'd be in big trouble. We'd be having to ration out food, and that's just not acceptable. What are your thoughts on this?
Knife crime.
The government's conspiracies of cancer and the overcrowding problem we are currently facing.
Personally, I don't think that the government has a monopoly on the cure of cancer. But however, I do think we should implement the one-child policy. Can you say the N-word hard R, please? Justin, what you did on
Oh, Nigeria.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with that. Just a nice
Yeah.
African country.
Nigeria. There you go, Tony Harris.
Please like and subscribe for that. 4
4
dislikes! That is absolutely appalling. Guys, please smash that like button. Well, if you have to, or depths, like, got to think about it this way. Who the fuck said it was acceptable to put a mosque in New Zealand? It's only appropriate. I mean, it depends on who shot it and why. What were the reasons for it? If it's just innocent people, then that's just appalling. But if there was a reason, like maybe it's a threat to the community, the surrounding communities, or if it was,
I think it's
Abs-
already been established they're innocent people.
yeah. But what if they weren't? Were they upsetting local wildlife or anyone or that was originally there, or was this
Anyway, bottom line is New Zealand shooting.
not acceptable?
Nah.
They should lose their rights to bear arms as a result. But I mean, really, so should all countries because no one actually needs them.
I'm glad I have the right to bear arms. Oh
Sure, you could kill some of them puppies.
yeah. Can we talk about Frank Sinclair? I think we should ban alcohol. It does not provide any positives.
Or at least ban tonic wine.
Ban everything. Nothing.
But I'd have to ask,
The only
Is-
thing that's allowed to be sold is bread and water. The only things we need.
but is banning items like this necessarily a good idea? Because we'll end up with a black market for these items, kind of like we do with drugs, where people are still getting hold of these items, but they're not as safe for the planet as they are sold illegally, with a huge markup as well.
Nah. The death of Frank Sinclair was extremely uncalled for, and I hope Tristan gets torn a new one in prison.
But my solution would be to have a GPS tracker and knives, or like you're able to microchip your pets. So why can't you microchip your knives, and have it assigned to a certain person over the age of 18? Because this will stop our youth from attacking each other with their knives, and when someone is attacked with a knife, you'll know exactly who's the owner of that knife, and be able to prosecute them instantly, totally avoiding the court cases and all the money wasted, allowing us to raise the benefits for our benefit people. What are your thoughts on my new idea?
Tony Hillis thinks it's their James Morrison, but it's not.
Oh, that's quite epic. Nah, that's a sorry guy.
Alright, so we've been streaming for almost 20 minutes now. I think that's it. End the fucking stream.
I did end the stream. Okay, that's not it. Hey! It's our stream.
End it.
Yeah, exactly what Lord Depths like. It was just getting good. Right, one last question.
Alright, one last question.
Should make this a spicy topic that we can all discuss as a community.
Are you gay?
Nope.
Alright,
Question-
that's a final
like
question.
like
Are you
that.
gay? The answer is no. So, opinions on
Thanks for that,
lifetime.
James. The N word is an absolutely disgusting word and we should not be using it. Next. Opinions on late term abortions. If it's still a feti, then you'll get it out of here. Nah, I'm sorry, home. That's not acceptable language. Well, sorry guys, but that's all we've got time for today. Hope you tune in next week for the re-education show number 2. This is